Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you a story by the Brothers Grimm and it's called Cat and Mouse Partnership. Actually, it's one of my favourites that I've read so far, so I'm really excited to share it with you. I do have not much of a voice today. I've lost my voice a little bit, but I hope you can hear me okay. At the end of the lesson, I recommend that you read the story. So I will put a link that you can click where you can read the whole story in the description of this video. Here's an answer to a question you might be thinking about. Why am I listening to a story? What's the benefit? When you listen to a story and you see it being drawn, you can understand it and you can hear lots of new vocabulary. So this improves your listening, understanding, and also it even improves your speaking. Isn't that crazy? You're not even speaking, but it improves your speaking because when you're listening and you're understanding it and you're enjoying it, then you're hearing the vocabulary and the grammar that keeps the sentences together. And when you start speaking in English, you will start to use some of this grammar that you're hearing, as long as you're understanding it. So do let me know in the comments below if you don't understand some of the story, and I will make sure to make them as clear as possible in the future too. Let's get started with this story. Thanks very much for joining me today. Please do support my channel just simply by liking the video and subscribing. If you want to give further support, then you can support me on Patreon. You can subscribe for £2 or £5 a month, and with that you get certain benefits like winning a lesson with me. Every month you have the chance to win a lesson with me privately, one-on-one. Plus, I will also give exclusive video content to everyone who subscribes and supports me on Patreon. But also, if you don't want to do that and you just want to watch my videos, that's also okay. So let's get started. So, as I said, this story is called Cat and Mouse Partnership. When we have a partnership, then we work together with another person. We have a partnership, we're partners. So in this story there is a cat and there is a mouse, and they have a partnership, they work together. Here is the cat. And here is the mouse. So a cat once made the acquaintance of a mouse. To make the acquaintance means to meet. It's a formal way to say that you meet someone. You make the acquaintance of someone. So the cat made the acquaintance of this mouse, and the cat and the mouse talked together at length, for a long time, at length, about how they really liked each other and they wanted to be friends and they felt so much love and friendship for each other. They talked about this at length. So at length means a lot and in detail. So the mouse and the cat agreed that they should live together. They agreed this. They said, I think it'd be a good idea to live together. And the other one said, yes, I agree. This is a great idea. So they started to live together in a little house. Here was the cat, or here is the cat and the mouse's little house in which they lived together. And the cat said, but we must make a provision for the winter. A provision. Provision is basically food or supplies, the things that you need for something. So the cat said, we must make a provision for the winter time, because when it's winter, we're going to need food or we're going to be really hungry. And probably it will be difficult to get food outside. So we will need a provision so we're ready for the winter. And the cat said, and I don't think that you, little mouse, should venture outside. You shouldn't venture outside. You should not do that. It's dangerous. Outside there are many traps. So the cat said, you should not venture. Venture is very similar to the word adventure. Adventure. Basically, if you venture somewhere, you go there. So it's like exploring. If you venture somewhere, you explore. You visit a place and venture. So the cat said to the mouse, don't venture anywhere. It could be dangerous. There are many traps. A trap is something that catches an animal, usually, or it could catch a person. And when we think of a trap and a mouse, then we think of a mouse trap, where we put a little cheese on it to trap the mouse. So the cat says, no, you should not venture anywhere. It's dangerous for you. There are many traps outside. You, mouse, should stay at home. So they agreed they needed some provision for the wintertime. So they went out and they bought is the past of buy. They bought a pot of fat. Here is a little pot. They bought a pot of fat like butter or fat from the skin of an animal, fat from an animal. So they bought a little pot of fat. And then they needed to decide where to store it. Where could they store this fat? Store means to keep something somewhere. You need something later on. You need something in the wintertime. Well, now it's summer or it's springtime. So they have to keep it somewhere. They have to store it somewhere. And the cat said, I know the best place to store the pot of fat. The best place is in the church. Why is the church the best place to store a pot of fat? Because no one dares steal the fat from a church. No one dares steal from a church. No one dares. No one would ever do that. That would be a very risky thing to do, a terrible thing to do. So no one dares do it, and no one dares steal from a church. And the cat said, we will put the pot of fat under the altar. The altar is a place in a church, a table. It's a big table at the back of the church. And it's where normally there is the ceremonies. Ceremonies happen in front of the altar. Usually the priest stands. Behind the altar. And many ceremonies and important things happen at the altar. But the altar is a table. And the cat said, let's hide this pot of fat under the altar, because no one will steal it from the church and no one will see it under the altar. This is an altar, the table. So the pot was hidden away. It was hidden away under the altar. But very soon the cat had a yearning for that pot of fat. A yearning is desire. He wanted the fat. He yearned for it. Had a desire for it. He really wanted it. He had a yearning for the fat. He wanted to eat it. It looked delicious. It smelt delicious. And so the cat said to the mouse, I have been asked to be a godmother. So it's the girl cat, it's a female cat. And I have been asked to be a godmother. What's a godmother? A godmother is not your parent, not your mother, not your father, but another man or another woman who is usually a friend of your mum or dad, and they are your godmother. They are someone who is there at the church when you are baptized or christened, when you're given your name in the church, in Christian religion, in the Christian religion. So the person, the woman who is there is the godmother, and the man who is there is the godfather. So you have godparents, okay? So the cat says, I've been asked to be a godmother to my cousin's baby. My cousin, okay, here is the cousin, this cat's cousin. My cousin has had a little baby kitten. My cousin has had a little baby kitten, and my cousin has asked me to be the godmother for the kitten. The kitten is white with brown spots. Okay, these are black, but brown spots. And my cousin has asked me to hold the kitten over the font at the christening. This is another thing that you get in a church, a font. So the altar is the table, and the font is where you do the christenings. A christening. So you give the name to the child, and the priest or the vicar, the religious person, religious man or woman, will put water on your head and christen you with your name. And they do it at this thing called the font, which is full of holy water, special water. So the cat has been asked to stand at the font and hold the little kitten while it is christened. So the cat says, let me go, please let me go to the church, and you, mouse, you can take care of the house. You can tidy the house, clean the house, and I will go to the church for the christening. And the mouse said, yes, 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 of course, that is okay. And if at the christening they have any of that delicious christening wine, then please bring me back some of that delicious christening wine. So the cat went to the church. But of course, none of it was true. The cat did not have a cousin. And the cousin did not have a kitten. There was no kitten and there was no cousin. The cat went straight to the church, straight to the altar, and started to lick with its tongue, started to lick the pot of fat. And it licked the top of the fat off. Delicious. And then after, it went on the rooftops of the town, the roofs of the town. And the cat was walking along the roofs. The cat was walking along the roofs of the town, lying down and stretching and rolling and licking its lips because it had eaten some of this delicious pot of fat. And so when the cat returned to the house where the mouse lived, the mouse said, "No doubt you have had a merry day." No doubt. No doubt means I am sure, I am sure. And the mouse said, "No doubt you have had a merry day." No doubt means I am sure. And merry is happy. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas. Merry is happy. So the mouse says, I am sure you have had a great day at the christening, drinking christening wine with your cousin and the kitten, christening the little kitten. And the cat said, yes, all went well, all went well. And the mouse said, what name did they give to the little kitten? What did they christen the little kitten? What name did they give to the little kitten? And the cat said, Top Off. Top Off. And the mouse said, Top Off? Top Off? That's a very unusual name. That's not very common. That's very uncommon. Uncommon. It's not common, it's uncommon. It's a bit strange. And the mouse says, is that a usual name in your family, cat? Is that a usual name? Top Off. And the cat said, well, mouse, your godchild is called Crumb Stealer. Your godchild is called Crumb Stealer. That's not a great name either. That's pretty strange. Crumbs, these are crumbs, little bits of bread. If you break up the bread, then you'll get lots of crumbs. Or if you eat bread, you have crumbs on your jumper, on your sweater. So Crumb Stealer is not a very good name, so you cannot say that Top Off is not a good name either. After a short time, again, the cat had another yearning for that pot of fat. So the cat said to the mouse, well, my cousin, this in English means it's not true. My cousin has had another baby kitten. And the cat says, I have been asked to be godmother again. So I must go to the church to hold the little kitten, this one with a black ring around its neck. I have been asked to hold this little kitten over the font at the christening. So the mouse agrees and the cat goes again to the church behind the city walls. And it gets to the church and it licks the pot of fat. It licks the pot of fat. It devours half of the pot of fat. Devour. Devour means to eat really greedily. You're not eating slowly. You're eating a lot and you're eating it quickly. Like an animal. Devour. So the cat devoured half of the pot of fat. And when the cat returns, the mouse says, so, what did they christen this little kitten? What name did they give it? And the cat says, Half Done. And the mouse says, Half Done? Half Done? That is the strangest name I've ever heard of. The strangest, the most strange. I haven't even read that name in my calendar. Okay, this is a calendar. Calendar is where you have one page for every month and it's got all the days of the month and all the days of the year. And especially in the past with Christian names, with like English or religious names from the Bible, there would always be a day for each name. So there'll be a day for Luke, a day for Tom. I don't know if there's a day for Archie, probably not. But the mouse says, I haven't even seen the name Half Done in my calendar. That's strange. most of the names are in the calendar. Most of the names have a day. And again, the cat had another yearning for the fat, for the pot of fat. And so it said to the mouse, okay, well, I've been asked to be godmother. Again, my cousin has had another baby kitten. And this kitten is very special. This kitten is all black, except for its paws. Paws are the feet of a cat, a dog, a lion, a tiger. Paws. It's all black except its paws. It has white paws. This is very rare. This is very rare. It doesn't happen often. This is very rare. So I must again be godmother. I must do it. I must go to the church, hold the little black kitten with white paws over the font while it is christened with its name. And so again, the mouse agrees. And the cat goes back to the church and it finishes the pot of fat. It eats all the rest of the pot of fat. It devours it. It eats it greedily. Greedily. So, eating more than it needs. If you eat more than you need to, then you're being greedy. And here's he's eating, or she's eating greedily. She's eating greedily, the adverb. So, all of the pot of fat is finished. And the cat returns back home to where the mouse and the cat live. And the mouse says again, so what's the name of this cat? What's the name of this baby kitten, this black one with white paws? And the cat says, all gone. And the mouse says, all gone? That is the strangest of all the three names. And the mouse shakes his head, he curls up and he goes to sleep. To curl up is when you do this. When something curls, it goes like that. So when a mouse curls up, it's doing that and it goes to sleep. The mouse went to sleep. So the winter time finally came. After that moment, the cat was never asked to be godmother again. Strange. And then winter came. It became cold, very cold. And the mouse was thinking about that pot of fat in the church and he was excited. And the mouse said, come on, cat, it's time to eat our provision. It's time to eat our pot of fat. Let's go to the church. So they went to the church together and they looked under the altar and the mouse saw that the pot was still there, but there was no fat inside it. And the mouse said, oh no. Oh no, I know what's happened. Now it's obvious to me. At the christenings, you ate all of the fat. First, top off, then half done, then... And the cat said, hold your tongue. Hold your tongue. That means shut up. Don't say anything. Hold your tongue. And the cat said, you say one more word, and I will eat you all. I will swallow you all. And the words, all gone, had already left the mouth of the mouse. And the cat jumped onto the mouse, ate the mouse, swallowed him in one gulp. one gulp. Gulp is the same as a swallow. And that was that. That is the way of the world. That's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed that story. What do you think this story is trying to tell us? The final line, the final sentence of the story is, that is the way of the world. That is how the world works. Do you agree? Do you think that is true? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you very much again for watching this video. Do remember to read the story. You can get the story by the link in the description. And also don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and recommend it to any of your friends who are also trying to learn English. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.